Hello, Nick here. Got a new radio. New to me anyway. We got a Rockwell Collins HF-2050. And I did not look up when this one was made. Probably, I'm gonna guess and say late 80s, 90s maybe. Maybe, yeah, maybe. Anyway, and from what I hear, they didn't make a lot of them. But it's a pretty cool receiver. And it's very I was just talking to my friend Dan Robinson about that. It's very utilitarian. Meaning it's, there's no amenities like, like power seats and air conditioning and stuff like that. I mean, this thing is designed for, laboratory use or, military use or stuff like that. I mean, there's no backlighting, okay? When you hit frequency and then type in a frequency and hit enter, it automatically locks out the VFO knob, the tuning knob. It automatically locks it out. If you want to manually tune, you have to go back in and free it up. So it's like they don't want you to change frequencies on this thing very often. They want you to get where you need to be and then listen for bad guys or listen for whatever it is you got to listen for. But it's a Rockwell Collins, so, it's pretty good, pretty sensitive, pretty selective. One thing I really liked about it, and this may sound piddly, but I don't know, to me it made a difference. The vast majority of all these professional receivers, their bandwidth selection is 6 kilohertz, 3 kilohertz, and then something like 1 kilohertz or 1.5, something like that. This one, if you can read it right over here, bandwidth, it goes 6 and it goes 3.2. And on the surface, you might think that 0.2 doesn't mean shit, okay? But it kind of does. 3 kilohertz is kind of the borderline for being able to have any kind of fidelity when you're listening to voice on an AM broadcast. And then when you start definitely below 3 kilohertz, you really lose a lot of intelligibility, a lot of fidelity and stuff like that. So on a good radio with good filters, 3 kilohertz, you can kind of make it out if it's a strong enough signal. 3.2 only helps. It only helps. And so I thought that was really cool. That was great. And then below that, you can see 1 and 0.3. And then now this radio is like this radio and like the Rode Schwartz and a lot of other ones. When you get to SSB, there is only one filter. So it's 2.8 kilohertz, 2.8. And so you cannot change that. So these 4 filter selections here work in AM and CW if you want to use CW more than, basically you're going to use CW in 1 and 0.3. But anyway, ISB, independent sideband, was an option on this radio, as it was on a lot of radios from this era. The professional receivers, but that board is not installed. That option is not installed. So so if you scroll through, it passes it by. So it doesn't even stop on ISB. What else can I tell you? it's got, you know, obviously a lot of memories, and you can program memories and recall them and do all this other stuff. I haven't even experimented with that. I don't mess with memories, because usually, I mean, I got so many radios, they don't get used every day, and if they're going to be down for sometimes weeks or maybe even months, I'll actually turn the power off to them. There's no power going to them at all, and they can't maintain memories that long anyway. And most of them, their memory batteries are already dead, or or not, not working. So I don't even mess with the memories. But so that's it. Let's just talk a little bit about the controls, and then let's listen to it a little bit, and then maybe tomorrow night we'll do a comparison to, like I said, radios from its era. Here's a Telefunken, there's a Rodian Schwartz, or that one right there, which is like one of my favorite radios of all time right there, Teletron. Or there's another Rockwell Collins down there. So so quickly, this is all self-explanatory. The control's either local or remote. I don't have any other things to hook this to, so it's going to be local. Then under the audio, it's either off, silent, or normal, or independent sideband, which ISB would play so independent sideband is channel A and channel B, which I think is lower sideband and upper sideband. And then, when you select ISB, you're going to select channel B. Both would be both sidebands at the same time. Or at least that's my interpretation. Obviously, bandwidth filters, you got 4 of them. AGC, off, fast, and slow. You can see the modes. Obviously, it'll skip over ISB because it doesn't have it. Tuning, fast, medium, and slow. Slow is 10 hertz. Medium is 100 hertz, and fast is 10 kilohertz when you spin the dial. The dial, so you could have the dial be, when it says frequency, that means it's unlocked and you can tune. BFO means you're going to change the BFO if you're in either sideband or CW. And then channel means you'll change the memory channel, and then obviously lock. You can have a lock. And then over here is positions for, like, normal is normal operation, and program is for programming shit, and scanning is probably for scanning memories, and OVLD, the top one, is overload. If you get an overload coming in, it'll go to that position. And you got 2 meters, line audio, line level, it bounces with the audio. And then this one is your RF input, and it's a dB meter, kind of like this, very similar like the Watkin Johnson. Tuning. So we were listening to. So we're currently on 6185. So if you want to change it, you got to hit frequency. It'll flash, and then you can hit what you want to go to, 5800. Enter. And then notice how this automatically went to lock, which means you can't tune it unless you bring that back up to frequency, and then you can tune again. So that should be enough to get us started. Let's, you might hear that little slight fan noise in the background. See that? That's a fan up there. So the guy I bought this off of supplied that fan. Apparently these units run really hot. The power supply is right in that area there. And Dan Robinson and Chuck Yarborough were telling me that the Rockwell and Collins actually designed this for the case to be a heat sink to pull heat away from the power supply. So it gets pretty hot over there. So the guy I got it from added these little 1-inch legs, maybe they're 1.25 inches, something like that, 4 of them. So I got a little air gap here, and then he provided that little fan to sit up there, and that fan keeps this thing ice cold. And you can plug in an external speaker if you want. We're going to be working off the internal speaker because it sounds really nice. It's a decent one. So let's fire this up. 6 kilohertz. Frequency, tune rate is medium. Let's try the bandwidth. We're on, watch him over here. And this knob does not spin. It's not like a freewheeling weighted knob. You got to move it. It's not going to move on its own. And even if you bump it, you barely move it a couple of hertz.
Piece of bread, a big round piece of bread. Then put cheese on top of it and cook the pizza. And
Reverend Freak Show.
Because being born from above means
tremendous expense. So you have to have advertisers. When I was assembling some of the audio clips that opened up the program, it was kind of fun.
Un partido más cerrado. ¿Qué tú haces? Aquí esto pones en los yankees en un octavo y noveno viene.
And it is so in the jewelry diamond industry, the smaller diamond industry is into a situation, just a whole flux situation.
強調していたのはこの政治と金の問題、このトレーの内容です。政策活動費ですね、これは先の国会では10年後に領収書を公開することになったものなんですけれども、この政策活動費を廃止すると踏み込みました。そして収支報告書に不記載があった議員、これを次の選挙で公認するかどうかについて、この新体制の下で厳正に判断するという考えも示しました。政治と金の問題を受けてですね、この統制が低迷していることを踏まえまして、小泉さんとしては可能な限りの対応を取ることで信頼回復を図る狙いがあると見られます。続きまして経済政策です。これは政治改革を断行すると述べました。適材適所でですね、この必要な人材が必要な場所で
Reverend Freak Show, usually pretty weak here on this channel, on this frequency. So next coming up, if they're there, is those two signals 5 kilohertz apart. 6 180, 6 185. Let's see how this thing handles them. So we can hear the crap from 185. Let's go up there and see what's playing. So this obviously is voice. So is this one. Let's drop this bandwidth to 3.2.
y arranca de su guitarra blanco en el dedo del cielo, que en el fondo de su pelo parecen flores de palo de arco, encajadas en un marco de fondo de terciopelo.
I mean, that actually sounds good.
Entre tus labios,
Let's try 180.
Tengo que admitir que no tengo información. Yo creo que tengo una historia enojada y yo creo que ella puede enfrentarse en eso. Pero después de eso, un esfuerzo para ayudarme a ver y por dentro para mí, en algo
So I can still hear a little bit of the crap from 185. And this does not have passband tuning, does not have sync. Let's try poor man's passband tuning, where we offset. We're 50. Well, it's 500 hertz. Yeah, we're 500 hertz down, and if I really try, I think I can hear the station from 185, but really not, because it's all this signal. I can definitely hear crap from 185 now. So you're still, when you're only half a kilohertz down and it's a 3.2 kilohertz filter, you're still right in the sweet spot. Maybe not the sweet spot of the passband, but close to it. Works. Listen, sounds good. Works good. I think that's it. I think there's anything else up here. No. Let's see if that super weak beacon I always listen to is here. And then you set the BFO. We're going to do it by manually here. So look over here, see we're going to move this down to BFO. That's going to tune slow. Actually, so what you can do is you can actually type it in. I think we can just go BFO 0.59. Enter. I usually like my BFO around 0.6. I think that tone sounds good. And then I can fine tune it with the dial. And then this, let's put it on frequency. And we'll tune this to 06. So I'm gonna have to put it on slow, tune slow, because he's usually at like 06. Let's see if maybe we can hit some 80 meters. Put it on lower.
Go this for without choices, it's 2 points. Founder of the SEAL Team 6 years ago, who was it?
Dang, that sounds like, those guys sound like they're in my backyard.
All right, so one of these individuals was the founder, the original founder of SEAL Team 6. Your choices are Thomas B. Hayward. Thomas B. Hayward. Choice B is Robert Gormley, Gormly, Gormley. Choice C is Richard Marcinko. Richard Marcinko. And choice D is James Ace Lyons. James Ace Lyons. Well, Brian, what do you say?
For some odd reason, Marcinko seems to ring a bell, but it's just a guess in the dark, Pete.
All right, Brian is putting his number on the Marcinko square. Anybody to challenge? Let's see if he got it. That is correct. That is correct. He was...
Is Trenton military? Trenton military.
Time 0220 Zulu.
Aviation weather report.
Aviation weather report. Calgary, Calgary. Time 0200 Zulu. Wind 140 at Niner. Visibility 20. Sky clear.
Let's try,
Temperature 23. Dew point 7. Altimeter 302. 2 hours.
So it's still an upper sideband. Notice how clear and good it sounds. Should be a signal at 5010. $5025.
Eso le decían el mago, le salía. Bueno, ahí mismo yo quiero que me dijeran de ese equipo. Ese equipo jugó con 3 entre filas. Eso lo hizo Servio.
5050, if it's there. Nope. 085.
Somebody pointed out, and you may disagree with this, and it's their right to disagree, but some of the greatest globalists are running NATO, the European Union, and the United Nations.
See that?
And they
We're putting
want a one-world government.
75-ish
And they see
dBs.
several nations in the way, and Russia happens to be one of those nations. So why allow peace and
Let's try long wave.
prosperity you can use to gin up war and kill people and make the military-industrial complex?
Drop the bandwidth. Dang. Sounds pretty good. Maybe 350. Oops, I gotta unlock. See, you gotta unlock it. So frequency. No, doesn't sound like it. 341. $257. Nope. What else can I show you? Guess we could just end on a little medium wave. Let's see if my Chicago radio station, AM 890 AM, WLS.
Elon Musk's suggestion is more accurate. That the suggestion of Elon Musk.
So remember, I'm in Dallas.
Complete and total endorsement of Spence. Mark that.
This is Chicago, 890 WLS. and the weather's crappy. It's been raining all day. It's raining tonight. So the weather's crappy outside. But still coming in pretty good. And my so we're on my Wellbrook. But my Wellbrook is pointing east and west mostly. It's kind of slightly southeast and slightly northwest. But it needs to be going straight north and south for best reception of a Chicago station.
The Reagan administration to work for Reagan. I've worked for the two greatest presidents the last 50 years, Reagan and Trump.
But
Reagan, there was
anyway,
very similar under Reagan, and it was
so
Grace Commission after Peter Grace was.
Yeah, very happy. Put my hand up here on the case, and it's ice cold. Ice cold. Underneath, I don't feel really any heat. No. So that fan's working a treat, baby. Yeah, so this radio is pretty cool. I'm probably going to go do a little bit more research on it before we do our next video, which, like I said, we'll do a comparison to something, all right? One of these here, whatever one is floating my boat at the time. This is my favorite radio in the world, so there's a good chance it might be that one. Yeah, but that's about it. Oh, funny side note before I let you go. So you see it's got a squelch tied in with, so it's a dual, so the rear is volume and then the front is squelch. And squelch is on an AM HF radio, squelch is mostly for if you're scanning a group or scanning your program memories. And you can set the squelch to like if one of them's super weak, it'll just roll right over it. It won't even pick it up. Well, this afternoon when I first got this radio, I was messing around doing this, and I think I already mentioned that moving this tuning dial, it's very heavy. It's not even moving right now. See that? No, it's very heavy. I accidentally bumped the squelch and I moved it up, and I was listening to some weak shortwave stuff, and all of a sudden I sit back and all of a sudden the audio is cutting out intermittently, and I'm like, oh shit, this thing already broke. It's already shit the bed. It's broken. The audio's jacked up, and I'm over here, so I was on internal speakers, so I plugged in the external to see if that made a difference, playing with all the stuff. It's still intermittently cutting out, whether it was on this or this. And I'm like, wait a minute. And I went over and I backed off the squelch, and it was perfect. So it's because the signal was weak and it was fading. Every time it faded below that squelch threshold that I accidentally moved up by bumping the knob, the audio cut out. It went totally dead silent. And that's what the radio's supposed to do. So yeah, so lesson learned. Scared the hell out of me for about 2 minutes till I figured it out. Because nothing worse than buying a radio like this and being able to use it for an hour and then having it not work anymore ever again, ever, ever, ever. Yes. So, anyway, this thing's awesome. The seller on eBay, if by chance you happen to watch this, thank you very much, and thank you for that fan. It's working great. Excellent packing job. I only know his first name, John. And his eBay handle was just a bunch of random letters and numbers. It didn't mean anything, so I can't remember it. But no, I'm very happy. And so stay tuned for future video. Well, like I said, we'll do a comparison to something else. And until then, thanks for hanging out.